Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been slightly over 2 weeks since the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs. So I thought, today let's take a look at the performance of the Bitcoin price ever since the ETFs have gone live. Um, and let's see what's happened to the price since then. So I know it doesn't correlate to the rocket. Visual that I have over here because the price of Bitcoin has actually gone down drastically ever since the launch of the ETFs. So let's take a look. The ETF went live on the 11th of January, and I think at that time, the price of Bitcoin went up all the way to 49,000 US dollars. And since it went live, the price of Bitcoin has just dropped um, quite a lot, actually. So it went down all the way to it dropped below 40K. I think on the 22nd, 23rd of January, um, before dramatically going back up again above 40,000, and it I think crossed 42,000 um, yesterday, which was 26th of January on a Friday. So let's unpack a little bit about what happened. We know that um, Grayscale GBTC has been bleeding out a lot on a daily basis. There's been a tremendous outflow ever since they successfully converted from a trust to the ETF. And a lot of the reason for that has been people arbitraging because they've managed to buy into the trust at a discount and are now just realizing the profit by selling it at market price. And that's what's been happening, right? But beyond that, there's also been another reason for GBTC selling a lot of their shares, and I'll expand on that in the next slide. So before this news came out, I think a lot of us were under the impression that people were just selling their stake in GBTC and rotating it into one of the other nine ETFs, right? Like selling out of GBTC and buying into BlackRock or Fidelity. Um, but we found out that that isn't true. So FTX Estate has sold a majority of their GBTC holdings, and this is because they've had to sell off their stake to pay off their debt, right? And this is a huge amount. I think they've sold more than $1 billion dollars worth of GBTC, and that's not been funneled back into any of the other ETFs. So actually, the inflows from a lot of the other ETFs are actually stronger than we imagine, and and this FTX stake is not going to come back into any of the ETFs, and that's why we've seen strong outflows. That's why we've seen the price of Bitcoin drop tremendously over the last 2 weeks. But we have also seen the outflows of GBTC slowing down over the last few days, especially. And that's a good sign. I think the sellers are getting exhausted. There's probably not much left to sell. I think those remaining in GBTC will probably still see some outflows, but probably not as heavy as those we've seen, in the last 2 weeks. And if what we see from Friday is an indication of what's going to happen. On Friday, the price of Bitcoin actually went up by almost $2,000 from just below 39 or 39,000 up to 41.7. So I think we're at a pretty good spot where we probably have bottomed out of this GBTC outflow, and I think we'll start seeing more and more inflows into the other ETFs, and probably we'll see Bitcoin price recovering. Let's see if this plays out in the next couple of weeks. All right. With that, let's take a look at where the ETFs stand as at 26th of January 2024. So we see BlackRock's IBIT taking the lead right now. We're not gonna take Grayscale into account since that was a conversion. They had like more than 600,000 BTC in their holdings, yeah, even before their ETF was approved. So they've seen a huge amount of outflow, as I've said earlier. They started, before the ETF was approved, they started with 619,000 Bitcoin in their holdings. And as of 26th of January, they have slightly over 500,000. So that's more than 100,000 Bitcoin, leaving their ETF in the space of 2 weeks. That's really aggressive selling. But we see that a lot of that outflow has been absorbed by the other ETFs that we have here, and we can see that BlackRock is leading it with close to 50,000, just 49,952 Bitcoin holdings, and that translates to just over $2 billion in terms of assets under management. Fidelity is really close behind. They're at 1.8 billion. So I guess over the course of next week, they'll easily cross the $2 billion threshold as well. And then at the next tranche, we have ARK as well as Bitwise. They've both crossed the $500 million AUM mark as of today. So that's a really, really strong showing as well. So this is the table. You can see it right here. This is where we are at. It's really, really good performance across most of the ETFs, and I think by the time the halving comes around in April, I'm sure they will more than double or even triple the amount of holdings that they have currently. So all looks good. Hopefully, the price will reflect the supply crunch that we're gonna see, in exchanges now, and especially when the halving occurs, that's where we're gonna see the amount of Bitcoin being mined on a daily basis cut in half. So that's gonna shock the system even more, right? So yeah, I think all in all, it's really been great progress across all of the ETFs, across the there's been a lot of um, buying pressure. There's been a lot of selling pressure as well over the last 2 weeks, but I think hopefully with that drying up, we can see a lot more demand than there is supply, and hopefully we'll see the price move in the right direction. All right, I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already to my channel, and I'll see you soon.